If you have over $200,000 sitting stagnant in your bank, retirement account, or home equity, then you're literally losing money. On this show, you learn how to get that money working for you consistently and conservatively. Learn to grow your nest egg with your host, Shawn Winslow. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to another Multifamily Monday episode. I'm your host, Shawn Winslow, and this is the Multifamily Money Podcast. What's going on, everyone? Got another solo episode for you today. As always, on everything multifamily. Before I get into that, we will be having some great guests come on for interviews in the coming weeks. So stay tuned for that. And as always, if you're getting any value out of this, please share with someone who you think could also get value out of this. That's how we grow this podcast. That's how we get in front of more eyes and ears. And how we really get in front of more people is if you leave a rating and review. That's how Apple Podcasts really rewards, based on their algorithm, how they really reward shows and put them to the top. So if you haven't done so, I would greatly appreciate you leaving a rating and review. All right, today's episode, as we all know, there's a lot of uncertainty going on in the world, especially when it comes to any type of investing. Real estate, we have interest rates up, inflation, prices on goods, labor, material, all that is through the roof, energy. Just a lot of uncertainty. And that reminds me of the quote by Warren Buffett that goes, "Only when the tide goes out, you discover who's been swimming naked." And I think that's going to be really true in the coming months, coming year, in all businesses, but I think especially in real estate, the one that we're in. Just because if we look back at what's been going on over the last 2 to 4 years, it's just been up, up, up. Everything's, sunshine and rainbows, and we had historical low interest rates, prices, and then which compressed cap rates even more. And people, in my opinion, taking risks by making purchases based on appreciation, not based on fundamentals and cash flow. Yes, appreciation is a great bonus of real estate, but that's not the only reason you should buy it. Now, maybe if you have more money than you know what to do with and you're willing to take that gamble, yes. But when you're gambling other people's hard-earned money, when you're syndicating, investing their money, that's not a position you should be putting them in. That's not a risk you should be taking. You should be making decisions based on cash flow. So the point of this episode is to talk about real estate investing, not as a lot of people view it as we're investors, right? Which is true. You are an investor, but you as the lead general partner, lead sponsor, syndicator, wherever you want to operate or whatever you want to call yourself, you are running a business. And that's what this is. I feel a lot of people forget that, and that you need to be thinking this as business, not solely on each individual investment and trying to, yes, you're trying to maximize the return, but sometimes you need to take some of the chips off the table to mitigate risk. You need to make certain decisions so that your business can stay afloat for the long run. And so we need to look at this as a business and not just solely as we are real estate investors. Yes, we are, but we need to operate it like a business. And I haven't talked much about my background other than the fact that I was in finance. And so, yeah, I was in finance, but besides that, I've either been a part of a leadership team of business or started business myself multiple times. Been in different industries, technology, IT services, copiers, printers, water coolers, obviously real estate. I've done a lot of different things. And I can tell you that, yeah, the product is different, but operating the business side of it is pretty much the same. And it's very important for the longevity of the business. And so I just wanted to go over some things that I've learned, both from experience and from being around really successful operators and businessmen and women. And so first, we just need to know, yes, real estate is a business. 100% a business. You have, yes, the product you're selling, the product or service you're selling happens to be real estate, but you're operating that as a business. You have people, you have processes, and you have products, which is the real estate. So the way I like to look at it is for the people. There's a great book called Who Not How by Dan Sullivan. And if you haven't read it, highly recommend it. I'm actually in the middle of it right now, and it's a phenomenal book. And it talks about, if you want to do something, if you want to accomplish it, it's not how do I do this? Yeah, certainly you can take that approach, but that's going to extend the time that you're going to accomplish that goal tenfold, hundredfold. You need to find who can do that, who has history and experience in doing that and doing it successfully. So in any business, you want to find the who, not the how. So you want to build a really successful syndication business. Well, who's done that in the past? Maybe you're not going to hire them, but maybe you're going to partner with them in the beginning. And then as you grow your team, you're going to look for directors of acquisition. Who's done that before? You're going to look for asset managers, not how, but who. Who's asset managed before and done it successfully? Investor relations. Who said some types, it's not directly investor relations, some type of customer service. Who, not how. And so on and so forth. It's about finding the right people for the job, not how to do it, but who can do it. And then I'll get more into this, but it's also about inspiring them. It's all about inspiration and being on the same track. Everyone's got to buy in to the goals, the whole team. It can't just be you as the owner, the operator. It's got to be the whole team. You need 100% buy-in. Now, the processes. This is something that is very important. You need to put in repeatable, standard operating processes. Something that can easily be repeated, something that can easily be learned. And where I've seen success when our businesses or other businesses I've seen have really detailed training on not only on improving the skills, because that's very important, improving the skills of your employees. That's how you grow. You got to improve their skills, but also training on the role itself, very detailed training on the role itself. And that's huge because there's always going to be turnover in a business. Yes, some are better than others and you have longevity and people don't want to leave because they love the business they work for, but life happens and people move on. So you need detailed training on how to replace that person. You don't want that person to leave and then you'd be like, oh my gosh, one, I don't know exactly what they did or how they did it. How am I going to train the next person? You want that already in place before they leave. And what I've done is I have the employee do that. I have them create a workbook essentially on, and this is, digital workbook on how they do their job and what they do and how they do it. And the way you can paint that is, this is for when you go on vacation or take a long trip, leave of absence, that we can easily have someone fill in for you. And what I think is really grateful is now, especially we're all on Zoom, we know how to use Zoom, we know how to screen record, right? That is huge. Screen recording how you do different aspects of your job makes it so much easier with obviously a voiceover. I remember when I took over the sales team of one of our businesses, and none of them had ever sent an email blast, just a simple mail merge through Microsoft Word. They'd never done it. So the best way I knew how to do it was to do it myself and record it on Zoom. I screen recorded how I do it with a voiceover. And then I have employees that still go back to, some of them who are not as tech savvy as others still go back to it occasionally. Some I wouldn't even be surprised if they go back to it every time they send one out. And then anytime we have a new employee that's never done it, we show them that. And we do that for every major process in your business. And it just streamlines everything. And that's what it's about. It's making things as easy as possible so there's the least amount of mistakes and that it can be repeatable time after time after time. And obviously, you're going to find things that work better, things that don't. So you're going to tweak it along the way, of course, because that's about improving not only the training of the position, but training your skills to get better. All right, now the product. We talked about this briefly. The product. Let me back up. Two good books in the process part are one, E-Myth by Michael Gerber, probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite, business books. It just talks about setting up systems within your business. So if you've heard the term, working on your business, not in your business, that comes from this book. And couldn't agree with it more. It's about working on your business, not in it. It's about you as the owner having the vision and directing from above and having people working in the business. So you have the time to really direct that vision and guide that vision. Another one to implement some of the processes and hold people accountable is a book called Traction by Gino Wickman, which I'm sure a lot of you heard. It's the EOS, the Entrepreneur Operating System. Also highly recommend reading that book as well. More of a dry read than E-Myth because it's more tactical stuff, but great read. Product is next. So we know this product is the real estate, but it's twofold here, especially if you do what I do and you're multifamily investor operator. Is one of the products you're offering is an investment to your investors, right? You're investing them strong risk-adjusted return, high quality investment, but their hard-earned money to work. But two, there's one that's just as important, if not more. And that's you're providing people a place to live. You should be providing them with the utmost quality place to live. That's one of the reasons I love value add. One, it's a great investment, right? You're forcing appreciation amongst other things, but you're improving the place where people live. You're giving them a cleaner, more respectable place to live that they love to call home. And there's no feeling like that. Like I've mentioned this before, walking on a property and the residents thanking you for the work you're doing. Nothing like it. So we talked about people, process, and products. And next I want to talk about a vivid vision. I've talked about this book before by Cameron Herold, Vivid Vision. Without a vision, I don't even know if you're truly a business. Without a vision, you're just kind of floating around and hoping the currents take you in the right direction. You truly need a vivid vision. And then in the book, Vivid Vision, he talks about setting up a vivid vision for 3 years into the future. And you're writing this as if you're on that day 3 years in the future. So instead of saying, I want my business to be generating 10 million in revenue, you're saying, my business currently is generating 10 million in revenue, blah, 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 blah. So you're writing it as you're in that moment. And it really just forces your mind to accept that this is possible, right? That this is a thing because you're telling yourself that this is what's happening. And then you really envision it. As if it's true, you envision like, oh, what would my office look like? What would my team look like? What would my morning look like? What would my entire day look like? What would my life outside of work look like? And the point is to create a vision for your business as a whole, for your team, for any vendors that come in contact with your business. And you want to be sharing this with everyone, not only your team, that's important, but also any vendor you come in contact with, because then they buy in. They see what you're trying to do, and everyone wants to be part of success. So then they go out of their way to help you. That's one of the things that I really picked up reading the book is like, it's so true. Like others want to see you win. Now, once you win, sometimes that flips and they want to tear you down, but everyone likes the good come up story. People want to help. But on the team aspect, this is crucial. I mentioned this before. They need to buy in. Every single one of them needs to buy in. And if they don't, then maybe that's a hard decision to make where you need to go find someone in that position that does buy in. Because you need 100% buy-in. You can't have any toxicity and negativity. So that, it's just one person on the team that can slowly erode away the entire team. So you need 100% buy-in, because what I'm going to talk about in a little bit, when you get that 100% buy-in, it leads to something that truly will grow your business for you. So once you establish your big vision, where you want the business to go, what you want it to look like, and what that all entails, you need to be able to track that, right? Because what's not measured is not managed. We all know that. So in order to track that, we need to track performance and KPIs, key performance indicators. Again, this goes back to Traction. Highly recommend reading this. Traction, the entrepreneurial operating system, tells you how to set up your business. And you don't need to wait till you have a team. They recommend it, and I agree that you can start this from day one, just so you get that mindset in place and the operations in place. It tells you like the types of meetings you should hold, how you should run them, accountability, how you keep people accountable, how people know what they should be accountable for. It's a great book, and it's really important to track your performance, see what you're doing. So we're tracking everything. We're on the real estate side of business. We're tracking, how many deals come through, our email or what have you. How many we're underwriting, and of those, how many offers we're sending. Of those, how many we're actually touring. Well, that becomes, of course, how many we're touring, how many we're making offers on, how many get accepted from the investor side, how many new investors we're having touch points with, how many new investors we're having conversations with, how many new investors we add to our list and our portal. And then also how many existing investors we're making touch points with on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. That's just to name a few. You said what is not measured is not managed. You need to track everything, those key performance indicators. So in our business, it's deals and money, right? Those are the two big things. And then operations. So when it comes to operations from an asset management side, that's a whole different ballgame. And I have a friend that's actually coming on to talk about that in the coming weeks, asset management. But obviously things you want to track on that is vacancy, both physical and economic. You want to track in terms of applications, how quick we are to reach back to someone that reaches out in terms of, filling out an application. These are all things you want to track. Tracking your star rating on Google, your reviews, make sure you respond to every single one, both the good and the bad. Those are the things you want to track. And so next comes to my point of providing value. All about providing value. Obviously to your clients, so your investors in this case, and your residents, it's all about providing value. The more value you give, the more irreplaceable you'll be in any type of business. But in this one too, the more value out to your investors and your residents, the more successful you're going to be. From an investor standpoint, the more value you provide, the quality of investments you provide, the transparency and communication you provide to them, and just the assurance that you're there, you're a steward of their money, taking care of them, looking out for the best for them. They're going to want to continue to invest with you, and they're going to want to refer you to everyone they know. And then from a resident standpoint, the more value you provide them, the higher quality place you provide them to live, fixing any issues they have as soon as possible, and just providing like a healthy and happy place to live. They're going to want to stay. They're going to, turnover is a killer. So the more you can renew, the better. And if you renew at high rates, and they're going to stay because they want to stay there, and then refer their high quality friends to come and live. There's nothing like that. All right. So the last 2 points I want to touch on. This, after all I've talked about, these two things, once everything else is in place, if you don't have these two things, you're not going to be able to grow. At least not to the place you want to be. And that's focus and consistency. There's a great book called Focus, which talks about, focused work, that you can get more done in 1 to 2 hours of extreme focus than you can get done in a full 8-hour workday where you're not focused. And it's so true. And it's not just work being focused at a given moment, but it's really just being completely focused on your goals and your tasks. Waking up and being focused on what you need to achieve today, what the business needs to achieve today, and just extremely focused on that vivid vision and where you need to go and what you need to do to get there. It's all about focus. And then the consistency part, it's consistently doing all these things to reach your goal. About consistency, and a focused consistency. And without those things, one, you're not going to grow, but two, you're not going to be able to survive possible recession. And so I just wanted to share this with you because there's a lot of people out there that are newer to business and to real estate. And I just don't want anyone to lose anything, make any decisions or bad moves that could really hurt them and their investors and their families. And so I just wanted to share what I've learned through business and investing. And if you can implement all of this, I know you can weather any storm. All right, everybody. Really appreciate you tuning in as always. And again, if you find any value from this episode, please share it with someone that you know that could also get value. I would be greatly appreciated. And as always, easy doesn't pay well, and instant gratification is self-destructive. So always remember, it's not just working hard for your money, but having your money work hard for you. All right, everybody, get out there and crush it. I'll catch you on the next one.
Hey, this is Shawn Winslow. After being in the financial service industry for years and having candid conversations with good people just like you, I realized that so many of us are wanting an investment strategy that provides solid returns and consistent income without the bumps in the road. There's little known secret that your financial advisor doesn't want you to know. There is an investment out there that is less volatile and the returns are stronger. Get more details by going to greenbriercg.com and clicking on the free e-report. And by the way, if this show has provided you any value, then feel free to leave an honest written review and of course share it with a friend who needs it. See you next week for another great show.